Hey there, it's Wendy here. Crystal is still recuperating, so I'm flying solo today with another episode from our SAVOUR Summit. And honestly, it's the perfect episode for it because I'm actually really fangirling really hard over our guest, the incredibly talented Stephanie Taylor. And Stephanie is the best-selling author of feel-good women's fiction and the brilliant mind behind the beloved Shipwreck Tea series. And actually, it's one of my absolute favorites. Anyway, why I'm even more excited is because I also just finished her newest series, Stardust Beach, which is a gorgeous 1960s historical fiction series that follows astronaut wives during the space race. It is so good. Anyway, in today's conversation, you'll hear how she built her writing career without permission and why stories about midlife women matter, and how consistency can turn a creative passion into a thriving business. You're going to love her humor, heart, and hustle. So let's dive in. Welcome to the Serendipitous Rebel podcast. I'm Wendy.
And I'm Krystal. We're business coaches and retreat hosts for bold, purpose-driven women who are ready to build businesses that actually fit their lives.
This podcast is for the authentic, rebellious entrepreneur who's done playing by everyone else's rules. We know what works because we've lived it, coached it, and savored the journey.
Join us for real talk on business, life, and everything in between.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. I am Wendy Guth, and day 2 is all about niches. And, I was I was binging a series of books. Actually, I've been binging them for a while because they started coming out in, I guess, April, but we'll talk about that. I think it was April. Anyway, and I all of a sudden was like, oh my gosh, what a phenomenal niche writing is. Being an author. It's not only just the technical stuff, but there's a business behind it too. So I did something I've never done before, and I've reached out to, and I get to be a fangirl, yay! I reached out to Stephanie Taylor, who is an author of a number of series of books that I absolutely adore. So I'm so excited that you're here with us today, and I don't know why that thing just moved. Oh. Yeah, Zoom scares me sometimes. But anyway, so let me briefly introduce Stephanie, and then I'm so looking forward to chit-chatting about writing and books and your new series that's coming out August 31st. I'm so excited. Yeah, it's actually perfect timing. I'm empty nesting as of August 22nd.
Oh, that's big.
It's very big. So I am planning on doing nothing but taking my kayak, dropping it in the water, and binge reading.
Right. That sounds glorious.
Yes.
I love that.
So welcome. Stephanie Taylor is the author of feel-good women's fiction about incredible women and strong friendships. What I find so interesting is you live in the Pacific Northwest, though right about Florida. Have to ask about that.
Yeah. Okay.
You're also a high school teacher. Wow. During the school year. And then you're a full-time author during the summer. What a great use of time. You also love to read, which I guess is a good thing. Listen to 80s music, right there with you. Drink coffee and daydream about beaches and sunshine. Yeah. So please join me in welcoming Stephanie. So before I ask the millions of questions I have, could you just share a bit about your story, about your journey that has led you to where you are today?
Absolutely. I think always wanted to be a writer. I remember, as we talked about before you started recording, writing things as a kid and thinking, oh, this would be fun to be a novelist. And then, life gets in the way and you become a mom and you have jobs and you go to college and, and then at some point I heard about the ability to self-publish. And like most people in the 90s, I had queried agents. I'd sent out bits and pieces of different things I was working on and I got the rejections. So I did a lot of research. I mean, I threw myself into this and I thought, this sounds like fun. And there's certainly a lot between then and now. But yes, I learned everything about self-publishing. And then I decided to write something with my daughter. She at the time was about 11 and she had a book idea. So it was definitely one of my favorite things that we've ever done together. We self-published that, kind of tested the waters, like, how does this whole thing work? And then the stories just kept coming. So I've been writing and I think I'm at like book 45, 47, something like that I'm about to publish this month. So yeah, it's just been kind of a learning experience and like a let's try this and see if it works kind of thing. But yeah, it's been an amazing experience, to be perfectly honest.
So, okay, to start with, what do you teach? Are you an English teacher?
I'm certified to teach English, but when I started teaching, this will be my 13th year that I'm going into, I got hired to teach at-risk students. So the kids who were most likely not to graduate, who failed classes. So it's sort of like a teacher/mentor position, but I mean, technically I'm a teacher. So I get them to graduation. I usually get juniors and seniors and we roll up our sleeves and we're like, what are we missing here? How can we get to graduation? So
oh my gosh,
super rewarding.
How rewarding. Wow. Yeah. And okay, so I have to ask, the setting of your books, Florida, and you're in the Pacific Northwest.
Okay.
Did you live in Florida? Did you grow up there? Is it just a wonderful fantasy?
Actually, I grew up here in the Northwest. My husband and I got married. And we were like, let's move across country, as you do at 22 when you have no jobs and no idea what you're going to do. So we settled on Miami. That was a bit fast paced for us. And then we moved across the state to Naples in Florida. We ended up living there for almost a decade. Our daughter was born there and I finished college in Florida. So at the time, all we wanted was to move back home because, you get homesick and you miss what you know. But I will say we've been back here now for 20 years almost. And it's kind of got a soft spot in my heart. Certainly there are jokes about Florida and what have you, but it's a beautiful landscape. I mean, you can't beat the beaches and there's just so much to write about. So it's definitely like a place in my heart. And I get things wrong. People have pointed things out like, oh, you did this and you geographically da-da-da-da. And I always say, but it's fiction. Okay.
Right. Exactly.
Florida, but let me make some stuff up. So
right. Yeah. Or in your mind, that's exactly the way it is.
Sure, absolutely. I think there's wiggle room with fiction. I like to think there is. So
I definitely agree. Yeah. And it's so, and you do have this, you've a credible imagination, I think. And it's geared towards, I'm a midlife mom. And, I know that my daughter reads an unbelievable amount. She's always like, young adult stuff. And do you want to read this? And I'm like, you know what? I like the relationships, I absolutely fell in love with the characters in Shipwreck Key. I mean, I don't think it's giving away any secrets that one of the characters is a former first lady. And, she's my friend now. Well, anyway, she's my friend. She's my friend. And these experiences and these emotions and the friendships that you've been able to create are just really, they're wonderful. And I sat there and I'm just binging them and binging them.
Oh, I'm so flattered. Thank you.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to just say it's crazy because I feel the same way. I mean, after writing about the same characters for like a year, I feel like I know them too. And I'll think like, oh, I wonder what's she doing? And I have to remind myself, well, she's not real, but they feel so real. So.
Though, I really, really do want to know what's Holly up to.
I'm not done with Christmas Key.
Okay.
I
Okay.
feel like there should be more, and I left it kind of intentionally open. So
You did. Okay.
Mhm.
Yes. 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 And, and it's also, I love characters who are nuanced. I wasn't sure I was going to like Holly in the beginning,
Mhm.
but I loved her interaction with everybody around her. And all of a sudden I'm like, oh, I'm
Mhm.
still in book one. And I'm like, oh, I love this girl.
Good. Good. Good.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
here. It's hard to know for me too. I will say, and you haven't asked this, but one of the common questions people ask is, are you a plotter or are you a pantser? And in writing, that just means like, do you plot everything out with your note cards and your plans, or do you fly by the seat of your pants? I fly
Uh-huh.
by the seat of my pants.
Mm-hmm.
Wish I could outline and plot. I have tried, I've read books, but I like to sit down and put my fingers on the keyboard and just let it happen. So I sometimes find that I get kind of into the first book before I realize, oh, this is what I like about the character, or this is what they need. So I totally get it. Sometimes off the bat, you're like, I don't know this person. Who is this stranger? And then you get to know them.
And
I,
then as you go through it,
Mhm.
do you do the editing as you go along, or you get to a certain point and then, or I guess it's the end of the book and then go back and edit?
I tend to just flat out write, start to finish. I don't
Mhm.
go back and reread a lot unless I need to go back for a detail, and then I go back to the beginning.
Mhm.
However, the book that you mentioned that's coming out August 31st, it's new for me because it's set in the 60s. I was not born until the 70s, so I've had to do a little bit of research.
Okay.
But I also felt like these are totally new characters. I don't know if I know them. And so I have been
Mhm.
kind of going back and going like, oh, she wouldn't have done that. And then I went back and added a prologue. And so I'm kind of a little more choppy with this one, but generally speaking, start to finish and then go
Mhm.
back.
Yeah, it's, and how do you so how much writing do you get done during the summer?
Um, Summer I spend more time, but I do write every day during the school year. One year
Okay.
I thought I'm going to get up at 5 a.m. and I'm going to do it. And I did that,
Okay.
and that was tiring. Now I get up at 6, and then I can also usually get a little time during my lunch. So
Oh,
I
okay.
squeeze in something every day. Yeah.
So do you have a certain, like an expectation, 2024, I'm going to have X number of books done, and or is it just, you know what, I do whatever I end up doing?
That's a great question because I definitely did up until the past couple of years, just sort of like, I'm just gonna write. And then when I finish it, I think I'll put it out tomorrow. Who cares? Then I sort of with Shipwreck Key actually got the idea of really mapping things out and being more intentional. And a lot of the
Mm-hmm.
advice, because I know we are going to talk business and entrepreneurship, um,
Mm-hmm.
advice, I'd read it and it just hadn't gelled for me. There are a lot of moving pieces when you try to figure something new out. But I thought I need to treat this like a business. So I decided I'm going to set out, you can do pre-orders on Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
I set my books up for pre-order and you have to put in a date. And that tells me, this is what you're
Yeah.
doing, girl. You're putting out
Yeah.
this many books. I tried during the pandemic a series where I wrote a book a month and I did it, but I didn't love it. And I didn't love the outcome as much.
Wow.
It's a bit too much. Yeah. So I do one
Oh my
every
God.
other month now. Yeah, a book in 2 months, roughly 60 to 70,000 words is totally doable for me.
Wow.
So I put one out every other month and I have them scheduled and I know what they're going to be. I have the book covers. I don't have the
Oh,
plots, but I got the book covers.
wow. Oh my gosh.
Mhm.
So that's a lot of writing every day.
It is. I would like to do 2,000 words a day. That's kind of a goal. I don't always hit it. Some mornings I get up early and I
Yeah.
hit 900 words, and then the day gets away from me, and a kid
Sure.
knocks on my door at lunch and, Miss Taylor, do you want to talk? Can I talk to you? And I don't get anything done, but it balances out. It just does. And I'm an empty nester now. My only child is away at college. So for me, when you don't have somebody all the time, Mom, do you want to watch Gilmore Girls again? That's an automatic yes for me if I get that question. But I have more time to just sit down on the weekends and write. So I get it done.
Right. That's, oh wow. Maybe,
Mhm.
maybe that's what I need to be thinking about come September. Oh,
Well, you do
probably.
need to fill your time. It does. It
Yeah.
changes. It definitely changes.
It does.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. And so, yeah, it's okay. So, wow, I'm sort of a little flabbergasted because the volume is incredible. That's really, so do you have like an assistant that helps you with? No.
No, I don't. At one point, I did try this. There was a publicity company, and it was a
Uh-huh.
woman woman-run company, and I really loved what they did. I just found that I didn't quite need the services. Like, they give you a virtual assistant to answer your email, and I'm like, I'm not famous. I don't need that. So I kind of found that I didn't need that, but I have figured out what I'm good at and what I like to do, and then I hire out the rest. So I have always paid someone to do my book covers.
Okay.
I know with AI, we have a lot more capabilities, and I thought, well, I mean, I could try my hand at it, but I don't know that I want to spend hours on a book cover.
And
it's fun
you want it to look like AI.
Right. Exactly. And do I want to, yeah, exactly. And so it's so much easier to have someone who's, that's their specialty. The other piece of that is that there are a lot of concerns with AI coming up. And I think, like, do I want to take away the jobs from people who are also creatives and who are doing, you know?
Right.
So, yeah, I hire out the things that I'm not good at, and then I do everything else myself. Yeah.
Well, you know, and that's actually one of the number one things that entrepreneurs need to really, you lean into what you're good at.
Absolutely.
And yeah, it's like my business partner and I, we have an account, you know, we have a bookkeeper. Because
exactly.
We'll ideate for years and years, but you lean into your strengths, which that is a really actually super important piece. And the sooner you realize that, usually the better off you are. And, you know, it's also like, I found you through social media, and I have a feeling that it would have been through Facebook. So Facebook, totally. Because it would have been, I think it was an ad for your book popped up. And I'm like, oh, okay. And I was in a reading phase, and I was like, okay. And I immediately went to Amazon. And then that has now, I'm like, okay. And it's so easy because you just click a button and it appears.
You know, it's magical.
Yeah. And, you know, it looks like your books are in print, and you also have the Kindle versions. Do you notice if people are going one way or the other these days?
I would say that I've always done more business with ebooks, and then, and some of this might be nitty gritty detail that you don't want about the business part of it, but with Amazon, you can go exclusive with them, which means you can enroll your books into Kindle Unlimited, and then the people who pay for Kindle Unlimited can read your books.
Yes.
As an author, you get paid for every page they read. So if you're not exclusive with Amazon, you can't do that, but you can also then have your books at Barnes & Noble and on Apple.
Right.
So
who has Barnes & Noble around them?
I know. I love going to Barnes & Noble. I do most of my writing there, actually. But so, I get paid through the page reads, and therefore those people would be reading them as ebooks. I have found, as time has gone on, especially with Shipwreck Key, that I'm selling more paperbacks. I have a lot of ladies. And I think you are, you know, like, you're at a certain age, you don't want to read on your reader. You want like an actual tangible book in hand. So I do sell a bit more like that.
Well, I noticed, and I actually took a picture of myself kayaking, but I actually use my phone and the Kindle on the phone. It's awkward. And I wear glasses. So, but I loved that you had fans just holding up their books wherever you are. That's a really cool thing. And you know, it just seems to be, there's so much more author, fan, reader integration these days. And I'm assuming that that's part of, a marketing strategy as well, as, you know, maybe just kind of fun to know who reads your stuff.
It's important to know who your customers are, but also it's just a part of, it's a necessity now. I mean, from everything I've heard, and I listen to a ton of podcasts on writing and by authors, and kind of talking about things, and people who are traditionally published. And before you and I started recording, we talked a little bit about like Emily Giffen and Ellen Hildebrand, and I just listened to a podcast with both of those ladies, and, you know, they talk about how in traditional publishing, there's this idea that they're going to pay for these expensive book tours for you and whatnot, but really a lot of it is up to you. It's very organic these days. It's your own interaction with the, you know, fans or readers. And I will say it's one of the most rewarding parts. I mean, I have these amazing people now who send me updates on the things that are going on with them, and we chat about things, and I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
It's kind of amazing to know people I would have never known otherwise.
Yeah. And does it put you in a position, do you share, I don't think we're Facebook friends, but I follow you. But do you share your personal, like, do you get into like your own personal life with your fans?
Say to a certain extent. I mean, obviously
Okay.
I have a personal Facebook page, which I
Sure.
frankly just don't use as much anymore because
Yeah.
I'm always on my author one.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I went to visit my daughter in Seattle, which is where she's going to college, and I shared pictures of us doing things around town.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I
I
don't
saw
have
it on,
any pets
I
right
saw it
now.
on Instagram.
Yes.
Yes.
I don't have pets right now, so I don't do like the pet pictures.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't mind. I'm kind of an open book that way. I mean, I'm just
Yeah.
like, I'm just a simple girl. I'm a mom and I teach high school and I read a lot of books. So
Oh my
if
gosh.
people
That's
want to
so
see that,
awesome.
I'm happy to share.
Well, you know, it's such a different world,
Yeah.
because I think back, um, and you know, yes, occasionally I've been fortunate. I've been in the Washington, D.C. area, and every now and then an author pops up at the Smithsonian, and I'll go and you know, have them sign my book, that kind of thing, and maybe hear a little bit about them. But then all of a sudden, there's this whole social media world where authors are running their own book clubs, and they're just getting, and it's like, whoa. And I think I remember this really starting with me, and this is going to say how old I am, Charlene Harris. And she did vampires, Sookie Stackhouse, the series.
That name I know, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, that's a long time ago. But I think that was like one of the first that I know she was like really getting into it. And then, hey, she has, and that's the thing. When is Shipwreck Key going to turn into like a Hallmark series or something like that?
That would be amazing. People ask that, and I haven't really looked at that angle. I did one time put Christmas Key up for consideration from Hallmark. But apparently there was a scene that was a little too spicy for Hallmark, and frankly it wasn't, because my books are all fade to black, as we call them. Know that spicy things happen, but we don't see it. It's just sort of like, and then they kiss and then the door closes.
Right.
And I'm comfortable with all levels of spice. That just happens to be what I prefer to write. But I tried that, and Hallmark said, yeah, you know, you already published it, and you know, it was a little spicy. I think they might have gone skinny dipping on the beach or something. So
yes, they did.
Yeah,
they did. I remember.
Which, I mean, if you watch Hallmark, that kind of stuff doesn't really happen on there. So I get it.
Yeah, though at some point they may make they may make a channel that's more, or if
Hallmark After Dark.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my gosh. Oh wow. Or they have those new series out there that came out from during the pandemic, and they started in China, where I get all these pop-ups where they're little like 90-second scenes. And the whole series lasts not very long. I got to tell you, they're expensive.
Oh wow!
And you get sucked in.
But
anyway, and they're not that, they have a little bit of spice, but nothing like what I used to read. You know, all of a sudden Sidney Sheldon popped in front of my head. But yeah, so, and it is really interesting that there are so many different mediums now that you can actually go into or head towards, and who knows what the future holds. I mean, like, do you have actors in your head already of who you'd want to play your characters?
You know, sometimes I do. Sometimes I write it with someone in mind. And I used to do the old-fashioned, like, clipping out of magazines thing. And I would have, like, I actually have a poster board from about 2009 when I started writing Christmas Key. And I drew the outline of the map and I cut out pictures of things. So yeah, I had ideas of things in my head that way. But it's fascinating because we all picture different things. You know, you and I could read the exact same book, or I could write it, you could read it, and we are picturing two totally different things.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's actually part of the whole beauty of it, until you turn them into it's, you know, I don't know if you have ever read the Black Dagger Brotherhood. That's incredibly steamy vampires, all this stuff. The men are supposedly the most incredible creatures on earth.
Of course.
Or yeah, exactly. And supposedly she's actually doing the casting for it.
Okay.
And people are just up in arms.
Well, you're not going to please everybody with your choice of actors, but
how many how many I can't even think of who, the rocks are there wandering around.
Right.
Like these guys.
Exactly.
Oh, but I think it's so much it's so much fun. So when you come up with a character, where does the inspiration come from?
I honestly don't know. And writing is so weird because it's this magical process where if you're kind of in the flow state, it's like you're in the scene in your head. I mean, I try to explain it to people, and most of us have gotten into this flow state doing whatever we love, but like I am seeing it all happen in my head and things just come to life, but I couldn't really figure where it comes from. I think I used to save ideas. Like I'd see a news story about something and I think, oh, this could be great for later. But I generally get like an idea for, example, Christmas Key, an island that's decorated for Christmas all the time. Oh, well, that's fun. And then I just sort of started populating it with characters. Shipwreck is a little more intentional for me, I have to say, in the kind of idea of getting down to the business end of it. I was getting a bit frustrated because I'd been writing for several years. I've been self-publishing for 9 years now. And I had years where, I would clear a few $1,000s and think, well, that's pretty fun for a hobby and bringing home a little bit of but then I had years where I was losing money and I thought, what am I doing here between paying book covers and paying for advertising, still having a good time. And I justified it by thinking like, all right, well, you pay for your hobby, so this is okay. But I knew there was something missing. So I did a little bit of research. I spent my lunch hours at work when you're kind of like looking at all of the authors I wanted to emulate and the people in the genres that I appreciated. I took notes on all of their books. I read the reviews. What did people like? What did they not like? Put all that together. And then I think it was just sort of an explosion in my head. I went, okay, I want to write friendship fiction. I want to write something with strong women my age. Like we have several things in common. We have this kind of second half of our lives to look at. A lot of us have children who are grown if we have been blessed with children. Some people have grandchildren, so we have this whole separate set of things than what you think about when you're 25 and 30. And I wanted to look at that. What does that mean? Because we all know that you do get to this point where you are a little bit invisible. You know what I mean? You're not the sexy girl that people look at. So what do you have to offer and what's important to you? And that's kind of where I got Shipwreck Key. I wanted these women to be strong and really good friends.
Well, and everyone has to read the books. So if I say it's a character, I'm not going to give away any of it, but Molly, for example, she's in her 60s when and actually, before I even say that, your books are carved up. It's a series and the books are like about 200 pages each book. So so it's a series and you dive in and tell more about really each of the characters you're like showcasing.
Right. Exactly. Everybody gets their own book essentially.
And Molly, who at first I was like, okay, she's wonderful. And then you get into her story and the choices that she's made. And I just bawled my eyes out twice. We're not even going to talk about the second part, but in Molly's story, it just touched me because it's like she made choices and how she, lived her life. And it was just, I'm like, I want to be her, and just, not necessarily all the choices, but in situations, but I want to be her. Or was it Primrose, who is was a model. And and where do you Marigold Prim, sorry, where did I get Primrose? But I mean, she's a model and she has to go through everything that the rest of us go through in terms of aging. And it's like, really? And it was just, it was really, it was just really interesting. And I remember then looking at, like Brooke Shields on Instagram, and I'm thinking, I bet she says the same thing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I will say that one was personal to me. I started modeling when I was 12. So I was
Wow.
in the industry for years. And, you know, it is hard. There's a lot of pressure and a lot of importance put on your looks. So I felt like that was kind of my opportunity to say, like, hey, this isn't fair. And how come you're still expected to look 20 when you're actually 50? And so, yeah, each of them to me had like something special about them. And Molly, I will say, was my favorite one to write. I really enjoyed that one. But yeah, the things that we either have confronted or that we probably will confront at some point, and how do you handle it as a woman? So, yeah.
And you know, it's interesting because the coaching that I do has a lot to do with midlife women, transformation, transitions. And, you know, you say the word invisible. I've been there. I still struggle through that every now and then. And it's just, and I love that you're providing a wonderful outlet for us to feel. That is, actually reading for me is my own therapy.
Absolutely.
Very much so. Very much so. Yeah. And it's just, and that particular niche, I don't know that there's a ton of authors who fit that, which is awesome. Actually, you should do a cruise. That's what you should do, a fan cruise.
That would be fun.
Yes.
Oh, that's a great idea. I would love that. Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. It is therapeutic. The writing of it is as well. It's very cathartic to write these things. And it's fun to create the kind of friendships that you wish you have. And I've been blessed with wonderful lifelong women friends, but I think a lot of us are hungry for that kind of friendship, that, you know, supportive. And the women in our lives are important. I mean, our husbands and our children are wonderful and, you know, our whole lives, but the backbone of your female friendships will take you to the end.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. And it's important to just, you know, to realize that, and then focus on making sure that, you know, you go through the family and the kids and the husband, and it's like, when do I have time? And it's making sure that you make time for yourself and for those relationships. So in terms of, you know, like the business side, so you are a solopreneur.
Yes.
So, and, you know, you're structured about writing. Are you also structured, and how do you find the time for all the other pieces, especially the marketing stuff?
Yeah, that's the harder part. I think having a whole other full-time job does make that more difficult. I also think this is totally a broad generalization, but if you are a creative type, sometimes that stuff doesn't come as naturally. I'm not really like a spreadsheets kind of girl. I'm trying. This is my first year that I've really been like, again, this is a business. I started a business bank account. I now keep it separate from my home accounts. For years, I would just put it on my, like, I'm going to charge these Facebook ads. And my husband was always like, yeah, it's cool, whatever, you're having a good time. But now I'm like, these are two totally separate things. I'm doing business taxes. So finding time for those things, sometimes it's just like, I'm going to sit down today and I'm going to do these things. With the influx of readers and emails, it's taking me a bit more time now. I still love to respond to like every Facebook comment, every email. So
you do, by the way, you've responded to mine.
I really like it because I appreciate it. I think it's kind of amazing that people want to be a part of my life and my journey. So, but that does take a certain amount of time. And there are days where I think I'll do that and then I'll write. And I end up spending 2 hours just answering things. So yeah, I don't have a set amount of time. I think, I mean, I'm not going to say if, I'm going to say when this is my full-time job. I will structure it as many authors do, where they're like, mornings are for marketing and emails and afternoons are for writing, or however they do it. Right now, I sort of do it when I can, where I can. I mean, the phone is wonderful because if you're waiting for something, I'm like, oh, I've got 20 minutes. I can answer all these like messages really fast. So it's a little bit do things where you can. I'm not
Sure.
as structured as I'd like to be. Now, as far as the business of marketing, that is a whole other animal when it comes to writing. And I've done a lot of research on it. I've tried it myself. I know now I'm not good at Amazon ads. That is its own animal.
Yes.
And in one of the, it's a nightmare. In one of the Facebook writing groups that I'm in, someone tagged a man and said, "Oh, you know, you did everything and you changed my life with Amazon ads." And so I thought, maybe he can change mine. And I sent him a message and he said, "Yeah, I'm just getting started working with authors." And he's a lovely man in the UK who is a data analyst. And he's great. His wife is a graphic artist, and now she makes my Facebook ads, most of the ones you see. So I work with both of them.
Good.
So that's part of the fun too, again, is connecting with people. So like having someone, I don't mind paying them to do those things because they are better at those. I run my own Facebook ads that I can do. I at one point paid someone for that, and that ended up being kind of like, I spent way too much money paying her to do what I can do. So again, it's finding what are you good at? What can you invest your time in?
Exactly. Absolutely. Exactly. Though, I heard something that I was actually right now. Do you consider this to be a kind of like a side hustle to your?
Yes, although just as of yesterday, I have now crossed over into the 6-figure author for the year category. So I've officially surpassed my day job.
Fabulous.
Thank you. And that came out of the blue. Again, these past couple of years, I've been like, but I'm losing money. What am I doing wrong? So this is a new territory for me. It really is. And I'm quite proud of that, even though it feels like, woohoo, look at me over here. But it's been a lot of work to get here and a lot of like puzzle pieces. So yeah, the business part of it is overwhelming and it can definitely run you into the ground, but I think I have my pieces sorted now. And I consider this a side hustle in that it's not my full-time job.
Right. Okay.
But
do you think
I would like it?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Well, at some point you could, can you think about retirement somewhere down the road? But actually you said you've been teaching for, did you say 13 years? Okay.
Yeah.
So
right. My husband and I will talk about it and he'll say, well, what about if you get like 5 or 10 more years? And I'm like, okay. This is his 25th year teaching. So for him, he's like, catch up.
Wow. Okay.
And our daughter's in college. So we have some definite goals. We're almost 50. So we're at that point where we're like, really and truly, when do we want to retire? And, what do we need to do financially? So I would love it to be, if it exploded to the point where it was kind of ridiculous not to make it full time, I would. But because I am just at the beginning of actually making enough money to consider it, I wouldn't jump ship and do that. And I would miss my students. I'm not going to lie. I mean, I get so much out of them that it would be hard to give that up right now.
Yeah. Wow. So it's like the perfect for you life.
It absolutely is.
Yeah.
It absolutely is. I stumbled into this. I feel so lucky. And I feel like so many people as teachers have it so much harder than I do. I mean, I'm always like, man, this is cool. I get to hang out with these fun kids and I still have the brain capacity left to write stories. I have taught English for a couple of years. It does take over your life, the grading and the planning. So again, I feel like I've stumbled into this. I'm incredibly lucky. Both of the 2 jobs fit together nicely. So we're just going to keep going with it.
Oh, wow. That is fantastic. And, okay. Before I ask, like, just for, what do the takeaways you'd like to leave with, can you tell us a little bit more about the new series that's coming out?
Of course I can. The new series is actually, again, female friendships and motherhood and being a wife and all of those lovely things, set in the 60s. And the main characters are the wives of astronauts who are looking to go to the moon. Now, I didn't know until I started down this path that there already was a series called the Astronaut Wives Club, which I watched. Yeah, it was a fun watch. Those were the real wives and essentially the real stories. This is fiction. I have made up astronauts. I have made up wives. I am not playing off of anything that really happened at NASA.
So there's no John and Annie Glenn.
No. That's my disclaimer. I have invented these people. So this is where we get into that. Like, you got to have a little, wiggle room. But I want it to be true to the era. So I've been listening to the music and reading the books. And asking people who live through it for advice. And I've learned a lot about the 60s. It's been very fun. But yeah, so it's going to be an 8-book series that follows the journey of these wives.
Oh, great.
There are
Okay.
5 women, and so it will be a little like Shipwreck Key in that every book will
Okay.
kind of showcase a different wife, but we're always weaving in kind of like a main story. I mean, there is a
Okay.
main wife, just like Ruby was our main character in Shipwreck Key.
Okay. Okay.
So, yeah,
Huh.
so that's
And
what I've
then,
got.
and you see like in the, the epilogue at the end.
I see the ending of that series. I do know how
Okay.
it's going to end, and I will say that sometimes I don't. I
Okay.
didn't know with Shipwreck Key. I wasn't
Mhm.
sure. And you read the last of Shipwreck Key or not yet? Yes. Okay. And I knew that could go either way, that there'll be, yes, people who cry
But it
and
was-
love bittersweet
Yeah.
and people who are angry, and some people didn't like it, and that's okay.
Well, first of all, I thought it was incredibly well written, and I mean, did I like the ending? Maybe. I'm not going to say
Yeah.
unless you ask me after you've read it.
Yeah.
But it left me feeling, it left me with a lot of food for thought, actually,
Mhm.
a ton of food for thought. And I actually stopped and had a conversation with my husband, and I don't do that about
Interesting.
books that, he's like,
Yeah.
what are you doing? I'm reading, honey.
Yeah.
But yeah, we had a full conversation about just choices and things, and I can't be any more vague than that. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I was like, and he just kind of looked at me like, oh, wow, I guess you really liked it.
All this from women's fiction. Okay.
Yeah. Well, it's, I think that's, whatever gets our minds working, our own creativity and curiosity
Absolutely.
going, I think is what we really need.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay, I'm excited. And then I guess you have your next series probably planned already.
Like
Or
after that,
yeah.
well, I already am thinking of like names for my new islands. I'm kind of, I love writing tropical settings. I'm going to stick with it. Although I've had people say, well, hey, you're up in the Northwest. Why don't you do, like an island off the coast of,
like
Washington?
Virgin River?
Right. I mean, it's a maybe, but the tropical thing is just, it appeals to me so much. So I don't know. Yeah, I have ideas, but
yeah, I mean, I would love to live in Key West.
I know. I think most of us have that fantasy, which is why it's such a retirement hotspot,
Yeah.
right? That you want to go down and live in the sun and just woo. So I'm
Well,
going to keep writing.
Judy Blume lives in Key West. She retired to Key West and still shows up at like bookstores.
I did not know that. I did. She's amazing. She's amazing. Good for her. She's living the dream, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So for someone who is a budding writer, could you just give a couple suggestions or just kind of takeaways? Yeah, for people who, because I think, like I said, we all have a book in us. It's, how do you make that leap for it to come out?
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, I would say, be consistent about it. If you really want to do it, we all have 10 or 15 minutes a day. And I think we can all admit that we spend those minutes scrolling whatever our social media of choices. I happen to hate myself. I hate TikTok, but I see people all the time getting sucked into that. So put your TikTok time aside and go write for 15 minutes. I get sucked into, as I said, Facebook or even Instagram or whatever. I send my daughter, Instagram reels all the time. But sit down. Just write. Don't edit yourself. Don't tell yourself this is garbage. I have a lot of people in my life who want to write and they're very self-critical. And I'm like, it doesn't matter. Get the words down. Finish an entire story. Your first one, if you're young, it's probably going to be garbage because you don't have as much life experience. I've written things in my 20s that I'm like, it's embarrassing. But you're learning and you go back and you look at it and you think, well, that was the me then. So that would be my first advice. Sit down, do it, finish it, start to finish, put it aside if it's not perfect and keep going. If you want to make it a side hustle or if you're interested in a writing career, I say you have to learn everything about it that you can. And when I say that I taught myself everything, this was me. I can picture myself in my classroom 10 years ago at my lunch breaks. There were message boards and I don't know if anybody really uses those anymore, but there was one where everybody who wanted to write for Amazon, it was a Kindle message board. They had everything sorted into topics, and I devoured it, Wendy. I would sit there at lunch like, okay, so, and if I do this, and how do I get a book cover? That's actually where I found my cover artist, was in those message boards. And I took notes, and then I would buy the books about how to be a bestseller. And then I learned about keywords and metadata and pricing structures, and just teach yourself everything. And then again, when you figure out which pieces of it you're like, I'm not going to be good at this, find somebody who is good and be willing to pay them for it, and keep your receipts because it's a write-off.
Yes,
And
exactly.
start thinking, that would be another thing. Start thinking about, if you really want to make it a business,
Right.
go into it that way. And I will say that everything I read gave me the structure to understand like how to lay it out as a business, but it was too much coming at me. And I was just like, I'll write this story about this tropical island. And I didn't hear it all. And then it finally gelled. So keep taking in that information, keep understanding which pieces of it you're good at. But if you can go into it with sort of the key knowledge in place, I think you'll find yourself more successful. And for me, that would have been right out of the gate, figure out who my audience is. I know who they are now, and it makes it so much easier for me. I know where they live. They live on Facebook for me.
Yeah.
If you write vampire stories for young adults, they probably do live on TikTok, but find out where people are. Exactly. Find out where they are and how you're going to access them and how you're going to interact with them. And just treat it like a business. Make time for it. Be professional in everything that you do. Be kind, be gracious. And then there are tons of other little things like don't respond to bad reviews. And oh, it's so tempting sometimes. Don't argue with people. They can hate your book. They're allowed to hate your book. It's totally fine. So number one, go into it, learn it all.
Oh, I think that's so amazing.
It's such a fun thing to do. So if anybody wants to, I'm always excited for them, but there's no way for me to just like condense it into a 10-step how-to list. I always just say, just start.
No.
Dig in, order some books,
and
find out what you love. I loved the idea of learning things. And in the beginning, we actually formatted our own books, which was horrible because I'm not a computer person. Now there's software for it. I just take my Word doc, put it into Vellum. It formats a beautiful book for me. Boom. So,
that's fantastic.
But learning, it's great, but learning the technology of it has been good too.
Right.
As we get into, 50s, 60s, 70s, those things don't come as naturally. And I think it keeps you a little bit invigorated to stay on top of it.
Yes. Oh, there's no question. There's absolutely no question. And wow, that sounds really, well, so I am super, now I'm thinking, September. September. We'll see.
Seriously, keep it in mind. If you have questions, let me know.
Well, and actually, so I'm I will definitely share all of your contacts and everything in the show notes. I keep pointing down. I'm not sure show notes are up or down, but and I know that you are on Instagram and Facebook, and definitely, and it's really fun to also you share your process as well as you go along as well. And so thank you so much. This has been a lot of fun.
It's so fun for me too. Thank you so much. I know I just throw info at you, but
no, this is awesome. And and because I really do think that this is a niche that people don't realize is an actual business, like we know Stephen King is a business. We know John Grisham business, or Nora Roberts, who, by the way, doesn't live, she also lives in Maryland.
Oh, okay.
And she actually owns an inn. But anyway, I know she wrote books.
That's awesome.
Anyways, but besides, this is a business, and it is, with the technology that's available and what's available through Amazon, is much easier to reach your dreams than it used to be.
Oh, it absolutely is. And as long as people know going into it, it's not overnight. Probably won't write one book and just blow up and, be like, Harry Potter lady I just told, J.K. Rowling overnight. It won't happen that way. But if you're willing to put in the time, there are so many podcasts, there are so many books, There's a ton of information, and it's a really fun thing to do. I mean, it's super fun and creative. So
yeah.
it's-
Everyone should write at least one book in their life.
absolutely.
It's a challenge.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Oh, well, thank you so much.
Me.
And let's see, this is where my challenges always come in, because I'm always like, how do I click off? Thank you.
Thanks for listening. Be sure to subscribe and leave us a rating.
But only if you liked it. Otherwise, just keep it to yourself.
You can learn more about our upcoming masterminding opportunities on our website at serendipitousrebel.com.
And if you have topics you'd like to hear about, be sure to submit them on our website or DM us on social media.
Hey, see you next week. Bye.
Bye.